All right, this morning, slightly new format. We're starting with everything revealed. Boy, I tell you what, I got my COVID booster yesterday, and I'm running a little slow today. Fatigue is real, joints a little achy, but maybe it's just because I slept badly. No real symptomy stuff. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good and have no real complaints, but I'm not firing on all cylinders, and I don't know if I can keep my exuberance as quite as high as I would like for it to be today. So anyway, new format. We're starting with all the things. There we go. There, uncovered. There. Nope. There. Haha, uncovered. This is why I don't do broadcast meteorology, folks. I cannot work in reverse. So we've got Glen Scotia. 18 year today. That's our little bottle. A little bottle of Glen Scotia. And this is a Campbeltown scotch from the Scotch region of Campbeltown. There are a handful of regions where scotch is produced. Islay, a lot of people have heard of. Speyside, very popular. Highland, Lowland. Highland includes a lot of the islands up north, and then you've got Campbeltown. And I've never had anything from this region. This is going to be another first for me. There's going to be a lot of firsts in this advent calendar. I think I picked a good one. I'm really excited. And let me just show you a little geography real quick of where we're talking about. And there we go. So this is Islay over on. Oh, you can't see my mouse. Oh boy. Well, so Campbeltown is where the marker is. This is the Kintyre Peninsula, and on the west side is Islay, and you can see Glasgow and Edinburgh as well to kind of orient yourself geographically. So this particular peninsula is where the scotch comes from. And there are only a handful of distilleries. I think 3 was what I read when I did the quick reading of the history. 3 distilleries, I think, currently in, maybe that was just in Campbeltown, the city, not the whole peninsula. Anyway, there's not very many. It's a very small subset of scotch in general. So let's learn a little bit about the history of Glen Scotia. Here we go. Here's the beautiful picture that you saw when the recording started. So the history is honestly kind of similar to the history of a lot of distilleries that we've talked about. You know, it's really the history of the industry that we're starting to uncover one distillery at a time. Campbeltown is very old. It dates all the way back to, or distilling on that peninsula in general dates back to the early 1600s, when the first license to produce aqua vitae was given. And aqua vitae is water of life. And I'm in a medieval society organization historical group that people will, teach classes about early alcohol or medicinal compounds and things like that. Aqua vitae dates all the way back to the Roman times, perhaps even earlier. And it's basically kind of a catch-all for anything distilled. Any sort of distilled product way back in the day was called aqua vitae. And so the early vodkas, the early brandies, before these things were broken into specific categories as we know them today, they were just referred to as aqua vitae. And medicinally, there would be herbs and things added to it that would help you with whatever was ailing you, and so on and so forth. But the distillery in the 1600s wasn't really called a distillery, but what became the distillery began as early in the 1600s. So Campbeltown was settled in the early 1600s, 1607. Then the first distillation license was granted in 1609, and it was originally known as Lochhead. It was not known as Campbeltown. And then the lairds, it's lord, but in Scotland speak, the lairds, by the name of Campbell, decided that they would name it after themselves, as you do back then. So the distilling really got underway with proper distillery, like a distillery as we know it, in the early 1800s. So there were some illicit stills going on in the late 1700s, but the official first distillery in town was the Campbeltown Distillery in 1817. So this area has lots of barley, lots of fresh water in the area, peat galore, and they also had a coal mine that allowed them to have pretty much all the energy that they needed as well for all of this distillation. So the Scotia Distillery specifically was established in 1832. So it was not the first, but it was established in 1832. And at that time, there were 29 distilleries in Campbeltown. And the big boom in this region was partially due to steam navigation, right? You've got these steam-powered ships now that can move whiskey back and forth to Glasgow in, half a day, less than half a day. And that really opened up their ability to bring in ingredients and send out product. So whatever they couldn't get locally, they were able to now get from the mainland more quickly, and all these wondrous things they were producing, they were able to ship out and start making big profits from the mainland as well. But then, as tends to be the running theme between the Great Depression and Prohibition, most of the distilleries started closing down, and then there were only 3 left in 1929, and then in 1930, the Scotia Distillery closed its doors. But it was a very short-lived closure, because in 1933 it reopened under new ownership, the Bloch Brothers, as Glen Scotia, which is what it's still known as today. Then for 50 years everything went great. The whiskey boom was in place after World War II. There was a lot of growth, and then in the mid 80s, 1984, the distillery closed its doors again. So again, we see this with all of these distilleries changing ownership multiple times, opens, closures, renovations, and things like that, refitting the place with more modern technology to increase production next time it opens. So then in the late 80s, the Glen Scotia Distillery opened again under Gibson ownership. And this is where I have to just do a little segue here. My matrilineal line dates back to the Gibsons in Scotland. So I hail from the same general peoples that the Gibsons here who have been running this. I'm not saying that I am directly related to these Gibsons, but we have ancestors that we share. And I think that's so cool. It's like I was built to drink scotch or something. And so this was such a cool little factoid for me to see when I was reading the history of this. And now I'm even more excited to try it. And I'm going to be kind of heartbroken if I don't like it. So, oh yeah, I was supposed to pour it so I could breathe. Oh my goodness. What am I thinking? Okay, we do the half like usual. There it is. Yeah, so they opened up under this new ownership with the Gibsons, and then other distilleries started opening up again in the Campbeltown area in the early 2000s. So Glengyle opened, and that brought the total of distilleries back up to 3. So I don't know if that specifically is a requirement for it to be a whiskey producing region, but it seems to read on this website that it does, maybe. It says reestablishing Campbeltown's status as a whiskey producing region. So maybe 3 is required for it to be a whiskey producing region. Maybe I'm just making assumptions. So the distillery changed hands a few more times without closing and retained the name Glen Scotia. And now it is run by the Loch Lomond Group, and that's the scotch that we're going to get to drink today. It's the 18-year variety, so I guess technically this was under whoever had it in 2000. What did it say? I guess the Gibson still had it in 2000. Or maybe not. It said just changed hands a number of times. But that's what we've got today. And yeah, I'm really excited about this. Let's give it the old sniff. Here we go. This is what we're drinking. This is what we're drinking today. Oh, that is very, very pleasant on the nose. Oh, it's sweet. I mean, it's not bourbon kind of sweet, but it's sweet. Maybe like a toffee. It's floral. Not like honeysuckle floral. Not rose. Oh, there's something else there. No, maybe not toffee. Maybe not. Because it's salty. Salted caramel, maybe? Floral, salted caramel. It's very light and fragrant. Okay, let's taste it. Wow, it's got a punch to it. It takes a lot for me to actually taste the alcohol on the palate. What's our ABV? 46. I shouldn't be picking that up. That's the same as Bunnahabhain, and I don't get any burn on the Bunnahabhain. Wow. Honestly, I'm almost getting like a cardamom on the nose now after taking a sip. All right, let's write down the nose. I'm slacking on y'all over here. So initially I was sweet, floral, salted caramel, and cardamom. That's cardamom, in case you didn't know. I'm trying to make it all fit. Okay, what did I just say I tasted? Alcohol first, but let me work past that. Okay, that wasn't nearly as potent. Oh. And it's got the sweetness. I'm not getting any salt though. The salt is purely on the nose. Maybe like a honey sweetness. The spice is there. I wouldn't say cardamom though. I'd say more like a nutmeg. What did I say? Nutmeg, honey. I mean, the finish is just spicy. It's just going to spicy. Kind of like if you sniffed some baking spices and then you just kind of let that linger. There's still a lot of alcohol there though. We're gonna get the water. We're gonna do the water trick. Okay. I may actually just need to proof this down, right? I'm not trying to bring a bunch of flavors to the front. I'm trying to proof it down a little so that I can get underneath that burn. Again, I don't usually have this problem. I take the Four Roses neat And that one doesn't bother me, and that one's 100 proof. Okay. Oh, fruits popping. Fruits. Apricot, for sure. Maybe, I'm kind of getting almost like white wine. It's almost a little dry. There's still a sweetness there, but it's different. It's like it's sweet on the front, and then it immediately starts to dry out to almost like a pinot grigio sort of aftertaste with apricot and those spices just really punched up again. Pinot grigio, apricot. Wow, this does really cool things. It definitely finishes kind of like a wine. Like wine tannins. Usually I get the tannin thing when it's pretty heavy on the oak or on the vanilla, and I'm not getting either of those things, but I'm still getting that sort of tannin. Oh, this is cool. Y'all, this is really cool. Let's look and see what they have to say about it. All right, 18-year-old single malt whiskey. Luxuriously smooth Campbeltown single malt. Finished for 12 months in Oloroso sherry, which brings spicy and floral notes. Wonderful salted caramel character. Okay, cool. Expect thick, sweet toffee and citrus fruits perfectly balanced with subtle notes of sea spray and spice. Okay. All right, so officially, the nose is an elegant nose with crisp saltiness, perfumed floral notes, sweet honey, and salted caramel. Okay, I definitely got salted caramel and floral. Those were the two that really came forward on the nose for me. I did get cardamom later. Taste an incredibly smooth and rich palate with fruity flavors and thick, sweet toffee. I went with honey on the palate, not toffee. Expect notes of apricots, pineapple, and plump sultana, which is a type of grape. That explains the pinot grigio. I don't know if sultanas are used in making pinot or not, but that's probably why I'm getting these sort of white wine flavors. Sultana is a green grape, as far as I know, or a white grape, or it's not a purple grape. With a gentle warming spice throughout. Finish long and dry with gentle warming spice. Very nice. Oh no, our Christmas music stopped. Let's fix that. Yeah, this is really good stuff. Oh my goodness. It is so tasty. I had to take it down a notch. There was a little too harsh. But with that added water, everything got a lot better. A lot better. Wow. That's really good. Really, really good. Yeah. Oh. Every new sip is a new adventure with this thing. So now that they've said honey, I can smell the honey. I still think the salted caramel is way more forward on it for me. I'm not finding pineapple. I can't find the pineapple. But looking for that grapey, winey flavor, I'm definitely getting more of that, and it's making more sense. This is really good. Y'all, if you've got money to burn, go get one of these. I wonder how much it is locally. Let's do some research. Total wine, $150. Ooh. Wowza. I don't know what Craft Shack is. We don't have those here. We have Total Wine, so I'm looking at probably $150. I mean, I think I'd do it. This is real. I'm at least gonna go find their 12-year. I'm definitely gonna go find a cheaper version, or I guess a more budget-friendly version. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is good. But anyway, I gotta wrap this up. Thank you again for stopping by and for hanging out with me while we learn about yet another delightful distillery in Scotland and taste some absolutely divine whiskey. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So good. I need more. Oh, so good. Anyway, okay. Bye, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow with another delicious dram.